today we're going to be looking at my crafty goals. Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel Kazzalistic, and hi to my many new subscribers. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm guessing you'll come from the hashtag small yarn creators, so if you have, thank you very much for subscribing. Just to be clear, I'm not a tutorial channel, I am a vlogging channel, so just to avoid any confusion, sometimes I get comments in the comment section about that, so just wanted to get that little bit out of the way if you're new to the channel. So today I'm going to be talking about my craft goals, reviewing last year and looking what I will be aiming for this year. So I'm hoping this is going to be relatively a short video, and then I'll do the life update at the end and just explain where I've been for the last week. And so last year's goals, I actually had 8 goals. So I'm going to go through one by one, say whether I've achieved them, etc. So my first goal was to finish the cardigan that I had started. That was a Bob Wilson 123 tutorial. It was I think a round necked cardigan, if I remember right. Basically, haven't even touched it. It's still in the project bag, haven't done anything. I think I've got about half a sleeve to do. I just wasn't overly enamoured with the yarn that I'd used. It was Mariner double knit that I've used, but just the colours weren't kind of what I had the most of. I'm just not very excited about it. So no, I haven't finished that. That's still in the cupboard. My second goal was to repurpose my sky blanket. Now last year, or the year before that, I had tried to do a sky blanket. I think it was the beginning of 2016. Instead of doing rows, I decided to do granny squares, and basically what a sky blanket is you look at the sky at a particular time of day and you do a corresponding row of colour on your blanket or square or whatever you're doing to represent the sky that day. Now I live in the UK, so 9 times out of 10 it's either blue, grey, grey, grey or grey. Sometimes it might be white. And I ran into some difficulties with that because I'm a carer, full-time carer. So I wasn't always remembering to look out the window at a set time of day. Sometimes the sky might be 2 or 3 different colours, particularly with certain weather fronts coming. So I got in a bit of a muddle as to really how best to do it, and I was doing it with granny squares, just very small ones. And I did one strip and another strip. If I can find it, I will put a picture up there somewhere if I can find it to show you. So I kind of gave up on it. I just wasn't happy with it. I wasn't enjoying it. And rather than pushing myself for 365 days, I decided just to cut my losses. I think it was about 2 or 3 weeks in. So I want to repurpose those granny squares. That was my goal for last year. I must confess I completely forgot about that particular goal. So no, I haven't managed that either. Number 3 was to complete an Afghan blanket for myself. I haven't finished it. I did do a little bit of work on it in the summer. I've been working on a virus blanket that's using Signet yarn, Signet Boho Spirit, sort of purples and browns, the colour it is. Looks lovely. It's got to a fair size. Now the problem I've had, because I'm doing 2 uploads a week, which means I'm creating 2 finished projects a week for you guys, I just haven't had the time to work on my bigger projects like I originally thought. This time last year I'd only been doing 2 videos a week for about a month at that point. So I didn't really quite understand what an impact that was going to do on certain aspects of my crafting. So although I have worked on it, I haven't finished it, so that's another Number 4 is to get better at reading charts and complete 2 particular kits by Twiley's of Stamford that I have. I've got one of the kits out, so this is one of them. My camera's, I forgot to turn my lights off behind me, so my camera's not very happy to know. So it's Twilies of Stanford, and this one's called Crochet Dog. I know the dog is actually called Dennis the dog. Now this kit came from Amazon. It's part of the Linny Pin collection. So there's the information there should you want it. Now the one thing I will, the contact is in Yorkshire, so it is a UK product. Now it comes with everything that you need, I think, bar the stuffing. Now the problem I had with this, and I have another one that's the same brand but actually with a teddy bear, is that half of the pattern is written and half of the pattern, I'm just going to show you one little bit, is like that. So it's kind of like gridded. And when I first tried to do this a couple of years ago, I could not make head nor tail of it. I was completely lost, and that's why I wanted to read charts, thinking that was a chart, but it's actually a grid. I have got better at reading charts. I have learned that there are charts that are written well and some that are written very badly, so I've definitely improved. I've still got a way to go, so there's still something I definitely want to improve. As far as that kit goes, I have actually made a start on it, and I've managed to complete about 3 pieces of it. There's a lot of different components to it, and then all need assembling and stitching together. But I have actually started to conquer that. So although I haven't finished it, I would say that's a ting, as Margaret Olander would do. So I'm fairly, although it's not completely completed a goal, it's well on the way, so I'm quite happy with that one. Number 5 was to create my own pattern. So I'll put a picture up here somewhere of my completed pattern. In fact, no, I won't. I know what I can do. I can do even better. I don't need to put the picture up because it's right beside me. So this was my completed pattern. This is the only pattern that I've written myself. So it's called the Reflections cross stitch cushion or pillow. So you've got a reflection of colours one side and then a plain colour the back side. Now I've had people doing all sorts of variations. It's got 3 buttons with buttonholes. It's fairly straightforward to do if you know how to do cross stitch and how to do US double crochets. You're sorted basically. I think there was a few single crochet US terms, or double crochet if you're in the UK. So I did do that, so that's a ting, and I'm very happy that I've done that. I got halfway through the year last year and I really didn't think that I was going to achieve that goal. So I'm very pleased with myself. Out of all my goals, that one I'm most pleased that I did succeed with. Number 6 was to use up scraps. I haven't used them all up, but I certainly have been using them. I did start a scrap blanket, which is a Jada and Stitches pattern, but I got part way of that because again it's interfering with other projects that I'm working on to get complete for you guys, so that's going to be a very slow burn, but I will get there eventually. I do have a new idea with some of my scraps, which I'm hoping to perhaps concentrate on first. Yeah, so I'll talk about more of that when that comes up, but that's sort of a sort of partial, a bit of both. I certainly have used a few of my scraps up, but I still have quite a long way to go. Number 7 was to make a sleeping mat from carrier bags, and many of you remember that I did actually do a work in progress video for that. I'll add that to the cards up here if you haven't seen it. So I have started that. I'm probably about a third of the way through. Again, it's a big project. I'm using a size 12mm hook, and it's quite a physical. It's not like your normal sort of crochet. You're sort of physically having to use your hand a lot, your arm. So it does cause a lot of fatigue in your arm, your wrists and your hands, just because it's quite stiff. It's not obviously like yarn when you're using plant, which is plastic yarn made of carrier bags. It's a little bit trickier. Of course, when I did my goals video last year, I didn't have a charity that potentially I could give it to. There is now a charity in my local town that feeds the homeless that we have here. Unfortunately, the numbers are rising, which makes me very, very sad. But that is a potential charity that I could approach that's in my hometown, which obviously, as far as postage and stuff, it's going to be easier to actually go and physically donate it to them. So I'm hoping that's something that they will take eventually when it's finished. Whether I'll finish it this year, I do not know. But I have done a little bit of work on it this year. So again, it's sort of a half half yes, half no goal, but I did do some work on it. My last goal was learn Tunisian crochet. Quite simply, I just didn't have the time. Like you all know, when you're first learning crochet, you need time to sit and be quiet and concentrate. And to be honest, I just haven't had the opportunity in the last year, particularly the latter half of the year. I've had so much going on. So that is still on my to-do list. I do have the proper Tunisian crochet hooks now, which my dad very kindly bought me. I've got 2 sets, one my dad bought me and one my friend bought me. So I've got one with an extendable cable and one is solid hooks, the long hooks. So I've got 2 different options to try, but yeah, I haven't, so that's that as well. So so that's all my goals that I had for last year. So basically I've not done terribly well. I've achieved a couple of things, and for me, I think they're goals, they're not rigid things that I have to do. So actually the fact I've managed to create my own pattern and get better at charts, I think is a big plus. So it does mean my crochet has improved, and that's always the goal, is to have some improvement during the course of a year. So as far as my goals go for this year, and the reason why I always do my craft goals at the end of January, early February, is because I always do it near my birthday. My birthday is coming up on Saturday. I'm actually recording this on Tuesday. So I always try and do my craft goals then, because for me, once my birthday's out of the way, that's when the year really starts for me. January is always a bit of a weird month. Both my parents, my best friend, my friend I care for, they're all in January, so there's a lot of birthdays to worry about, a lot of expense, and I don't really have time to sort of really think about craft goals in January. And obviously December is always manic, isn't it? So I never really have much chance to think about it till now. I will say that it is my friend's birthday today. So we've been celebrating, so so far she's having a nice day. So happy birthday if you're watching. Testing to see if she's watching, you see. Yeah, so as far as goals for this year, basically I'm going to keep the same goals because most of them I haven't achieved. I would like to create another pattern of my own, so to have a couple under my belt. I think the more, it's one of those skills where I think the more I practice it, the better I'll get at it. You know, I'm not planning on being a crochet designer, but I'd like to have that skill there. So I'm okay at doing stuff off the cuff, but it's actually sitting and writing things down that I find more tricky. So I would like to improve that skill. And basically, I mean, most of the things, obviously finish the cardigan is self-explanatory. I still need to finish it because I don't really want to frog it all because it was hours and hours of work. Repurpose the sky blanket. Well, again, even if I work it into the new scrap blanket, again, it needs to be used. It's just sitting there doing nothing. Complete the Afghan that I've started. That is something I want to try and get finished. It's just going to be a question of time again. Getting better at reading charts. I've still got some improvement to do, so that's self-explanatory. I would like to finish this kit that I've shown you, and the other one. Certainly at least get one of them done, I would say would be a goal. Create my pattern I've done. Use up scraps is again self-explanatory. I think we all try and do that. I want to try up and use a lot more yarn this year. I mean, I do 2 projects a week. You'd think I'd go through quite a lot of yarn, but it's amazing how far you can stretch yarn. That's the thing that I've really learned over the last year, is how far a 100-gram skein of yarn can stretch depending on what project you're making. So that's certainly something that I want to work on, use a lot more of the yarn that I've got. Again, I want to finish the sleeping mat. It's meant to be for somebody that's homeless, to keep them off the concrete ground. My friend that I care for used to be homeless at one point. So I know the value of something, of not being having to sleep like direct on concrete or the grass or wherever you may be laying. So that is something that I would like to get finished, particularly this year. And again, learning Tunisian crochet, it's something I would like to do because it can get a knitted effect with Tunisian crochet, and I find that quite interesting. Not sure how I'm going to get on with having lots of stitches on a new, on a hook. We'll see. because I know you work and you end up low stitches on one row and then back down to one, so it just depends. It's going to be trial and error, isn't it? So I would like to find a project where that would work. I need some patterns. I need some basic patterns to inspire me. I do have my crochet Bible, so I need to have a look through that and see if I've got any Tunisian crochet in that. I did find a hooded top in one of the magazines I bought recently. I think it was Inside Crochet, I think, not the one that's just come out, but the one before, I think it was. There was a nice hooded sweater, as you call it in the States, or jumper here in the UK, with like a little pocket at the front. And that was Tunisian crochet, but it looked knitted, and I really liked that. But I don't know if that's going to be too adventurous when you're first learning Tunisian, so I've got to find something that's going to just get my skill set in. Anyway, I've waffled quite enough. So basically my goals are the same again, a bit boring, but they are things that I want to improve in particular, again, and sort of challenge myself. Again, I might not complete them all. You may find I've got these goals again 2019, but I would like to at least try and get one of the bigger projects finished so that I can add in a new goal. So that's it for the craft bit. I'm sorry there's not any particular crochet that I'm talking about as such. I just don't have anything finished at the moment, and I did need to do the craft goals video anyway. So I do have something that's almost finished. I'm hoping it's going to be finished by Saturday. It's going to be a bit of a scramble. So where have I been? Life update. Basically, I just want to apologise for not putting any videos up last week. I had quite a difficult week. On Monday night I came down with a viral bug, a bit like flu, but not as bad as flu, nowhere near as bad as flu, but very similar sort of symptoms, so aching, struggling to get out of bed, all that kind of thing. Just not as, I've had real flu, so I know the difference, but it was just a viral bug. Lasted about 2-3 days, so I wasn't feeling great. Obviously being a full-time carer, that, you know, that can make life tricky for both for me and my friend. And then unfortunately with my new diagnosis, which I know I still haven't gone hugely into on the channel, that's mainly because I haven't had any medical treatment yet, so I am still waiting for a hospital appointment to get the treatment. So at the moment I'm kind of in a limbo period, so that's why I haven't really gone into it on the channel too much, because until I know more about how they're going to deal with it, I don't really want to say too much, because there's not really much to tell you anyway. But my new diagnosis does involve chronic pain. It is not a curable condition, and unfortunately the viral bug triggered the other condition off. So I went from feeling rubbish with the bug to then feeling even more rubbish and in pain. And unfortunately when you're in that much pain, it's very difficult to sit on camera and smile and not scream, quite frankly. I'm only on over-the-counter painkillers, so there was a lot of hot water bottles, you know, heat kind of stuff going on, just to try and manage. I was in tears at one point. It was so bad. Basically felt like somebody stuck a knife into my abdomen and left it there. It was that sharp and that painful. So I really wasn't doing too well, and obviously it had an impact on my crochet as well. So basically I hadn't got anything finished. I was in pain, and I just want to try and keep the channel as positive and upbeat as I can. So my apologies if you missed me over the last week. Unforeseen circumstances, life gets in the way and your health gets in the way. Now potentially my new diagnosis is going to potentially get worse over time, depending on how I respond to treatment. If treatment works, like I say, it's not a complete cure, it can alleviate symptoms for a while, so it's just going to be a wait and see kind of scenario. So it may be that I will have to take time off from the channel time to time if I'm in a lot of pain. I'm not very good at covering stuff like that. I am a complete wimp when it comes to pain, so it's one of those things. I've got to try and find a way of managing it and managing the channel. So this is going to be a learning curve for me, and you know, obviously you guys are going to be along for the ride, so I just ask that you be patient with me. But if you know, I know that some of you most definitely do suffer from chronic pain. I know that I've got viewers that have fibromyalgia and various other chronic conditions, arthritis and so on. So how do you manage your pain? This is what I would like to know down in the comments. How do you manage your pain other than painkillers? Painkillers don't really seem to do a lot. I know I could be prescribed stronger stuff, but obviously I'm a full-time carer, so I don't want to go down the strong painkiller route this early on, basically. So how do you manage your pain? What tips and tricks do you have? Do let me know in the comments, because I really, you know, you guys are quite often way more experienced than me, so it would be really useful tool, not just for me but for anyone else that's suffering and perhaps hasn't come across certain things. We can all swap ideas, so please let me know down in the comments. Obviously, being in pain, it did impact on my mental health as well. If you're new to the channel, I do suffer from depression and anxiety. I have talked about it a lot on the channel. It's not something that I hide, and although I'm very upbeat, I'm very good at what they call masking, so I can be all like this but screaming inside with sadness. So I'm okay now, so please don't worry, but when the pain was really bad, it did affect my mood. So again, that was another reason why I just didn't feel like filming, basically. But I'm okay now. I'm not in pain at the moment. I'm hoping it's going to stay that way, but we will have to see. Unfortunately, my condition is hormonal based, so depending on where I am in my cycle, sorry, too much information I know, will depend on my pain levels. So and there's certain foods that can affect my condition as well, so I've got to start keeping a food diary as well. So there's this year's going to be a steep learning curve, so you guys are going to be learning along with me as I go. So yeah, so that's it. I hope you're all okay and you're not suffering too much wherever you are in the world. Please don't worry about me. I'm fine now. It was just a bad week. We all get them. But we've had a nice day today. Like I said, we've been celebrating my friend's birthday. My mum's been over with her youngest dog, so I've had doggy cuddles, hence why my hair's a little bit dishevelled, because he crawls right up here and he's a snuggler. Never had a dog like it. He's a funny boy. So had a bit of doggy time. That was the other thing, was we never got the call last week to collect my Bella's ashes, and so Friday night, it was about 5:30, I actually rang the vets to inquire where she'd ended up, because it had been 3 weeks last Friday since we lost her, and they apologised, and they'd had her for about 2 weeks and just had neglected to ring us, but not only us but all the other families that were waiting on their pets' ashes as well. So I was a bit shocked that they'd neglected to make the phone call. She did apologise, so we went and collected her yesterday. She was in a green, quite a big green box, it's about that deep, like that, with her name. We didn't do any sort of fancy wooden thing, because we are going to put her ashes in the garden. So I went with Mum, picked her up. There's a lovely certificate to say the date, so she was actually cremated on the 12th of January. So we've got that as a keepsake. So Mum's going to put that with her paperwork from when she was a puppy. And they put a little packet of forget-me-not seeds, the little purple flowers. So we're going to put those on her grave once we've buried her. Now, we had intended to bury her yesterday, but by the time we got home, it was torrential downpour. We went out in it for about a minute, 2 minutes, and my jeans were soaked right the way through, top to bottom. So we decided it wasn't very practical to be trying to do that in that kind of weather. It's just miserable. So we've still got her at home, but we just haven't been able to bury her yet. So we're getting there. Unfortunately, we would have done it. I wouldn't have been up to doing it last week, even if we had have got her earlier. So we still have that to do. So I did sob when we picked her up. It caught me a little bit off guard. I had about a week where I couldn't cry, but unfortunately it caught up with me yesterday. So I did have quite a few tears yesterday with the grief. I'm okay today. I expect I'll probably sob again when we say final goodbye to her. So we've still got that to do. I doubt it will be this week. We'll probably have to do it next week now. I've got my birthday coming up as well, so this week's kind of a bit of a busy week. So yeah, I've got, you probably see there's a little bit of a birthday banner here. I don't know if you can see a little tiny bit of it. I'll see if I can move the camera. There's a little bit. There you go. 2 P's there. But it goes across and says happy birthday right the way across. So we're a bit lazy. We tend to leave that up for the rest of the week because it seems silly taking it down for a couple of days to put it back up for my birthday. So my birthday's on Saturday. So the next video I will probably record on Saturday, will be my birthday video, and I will be 44. So mid-40s are fast approaching. It feels like 2 seconds ago I was hitting 40. Yeah, so birthday video, no idea what I'm going to do. I suspect the beginning part of next week will probably be a gift haul. I know that my friend has bought me some yarn, so there will definitely be something to show. So it's just whether I can get something finished in time for Saturday now. But like I say, don't worry about me, I'm absolutely fine. It was just a bad week last week, and this will happen from time to time, but stick with me, I'm not going anywhere. So thank you for joining me. Sorry it's a long one, but you know what I'm like, I can chatter. So until next time, remember to stay well, happy crafting, and until next time, remember to stay true to yourself. Bye.